Welcome to today's episode of Behind the Channel. Today, my guest is Jeremy from Sector 7 Solutions. And no, not the one from Transformers. You'd think he would have checked to see if anybody else had taken the name before he decided to incorporate the company. I digress. Jeremy is former Army infantry, a combat veteran of the Afghanistan war. He was a grunt, and he shares a unique perspective of the war on terror. After stumbling onto his channel and watching a few of his videos, I knew I just had to have him to town as my guest. Now, if you've watched Behind the Channel before, you may notice this episode is a little bit different. 2 weeks before Jeremy's plane landed, Hurricane Milton literally flew over my house. Most of the town was shut down, and I was suffering a cough that would give Doc Holliday a run for his money.
I'm in my prime.
I'm not sure if it was kennel cough or VX poison gas, but all that meant was more range time. So yeah, a hurricane, a cough,
Our pets' heads are falling off!
and word of the day, improvisation. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the episode. On a serious note, this episode contains some subject matter that viewers may find triggering, including self-harm. And if you or someone you know is struggling, please remember that help is available. For veterans, the Veteran Crisis Line is a valuable resource. You can reach them by dialing 988, then pressing 1. Because the truth of the matter is, we're not just a fan of them, we're a fan of you. Your mental health matters.
Hi. Yeah, Jeremy, good to see you. You ready for some shooting?
Yeah.
All right, let's get that shit in the trunk. I figure we stop at Wawa.
That sounds good. I could use a Red Bull. 'Cause you're from Jersey, right?
Yeah, it's in the 30s there too.
You know, that's the thing about Florida, man, is like, nobody who lives in Florida is from Florida.
No.
I used to work for Capital one time. They had a lot of clientele down here. And I'd be like, what's your address? And they're like, I live in Sarasota. I live like, you know, like it's a total New Yorker.
Was Capital One job the first job you got after the Army?
No, I kind of stayed in the gun sphere at first when I got out of the Army. I went to this company, MOS Tactical, and this was back around the 2013, 2014 timeframe. So I worked with them for a couple years and we did the gun show circuit. I needed to make more. I needed something that was more consistent, had benefits, the whole 9 yards. And my buddy was like, hey, you know, my girlfriend, she works at the bank. Like, she might be able to put in a good word for you. When I got into that environment, it was like, it gave me something to be proud of. It gave me a purpose, a mission, working with a huge range of clientele, helping solve people's problems, and then kind of exposing myself to a social world that I had cut myself off from several years, so that I had to kind of readjust to the wider society a little bit better, because I had a lot of problems with that when I first got out of the military.
What was the hardest part about transitioning out of the military for you?
I'd definitely say losing my mission.
Your sense of mission, like
Yeah.
your personal mission.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, waking up every day and saluting the flag and wearing that uniform and standing shoulder to shoulder with better men than me, it was inspiring, and I was very proud of what I did every single day, and having that structure kind of planned out for me by my command. You know, I think that's one thing a lot of, especially like just lower enlisted and whatnot, struggle with when they get out. Because they're like, why don't I have everything spelled out for me? You know, I need people to tell me what to do. Give me an op order, and you're stuck there just thrust into the world that doesn't, thrust into kind of an uncaring world that's essentially just like, figure it out, dude, you know? So, yeah, I definitely missed the mission and camaraderie for sure.
Feels like you still miss it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Does filming the content still make you feel like you're connected to something that you miss?
Oh yeah. So for me, a lot of my gear, well, all of my videos have kind of centered around gear and modern equipment and how it changes people's performance and kind of enhances their capabilities. Back when I was a soldier, everything, like, our equipment sucked. Like, our equipment was terrible. We were constantly fighting with it. Plate carriers were uncomfortable. You know, the pouches were badly made. Nowadays, there's just so many different options out there and so many different guys who've gotten out and said they're going to create a solution for those problems. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, in some ways, I do feel like, well, in fact, I know for a fact that I'm still connected to that. I still get active duty guys all the time who are like, hey, man, I'm going to such and such school, or I'm going to be deploying soon, and this is the role that I've been put into. Can you give me any recommendations? Oh, man. I didn't know that they had a petting zoo here, too. God damn. So there's just, like, this little farm right here with, like, 20 donkeys. Bunch of little goats and stuff.
Oh, some hurricane.
Yeah, man. That hurricane, when I first landed here, my knee-jerk reaction was like, oh, it doesn't look like it did that much. And then just the more I've been driving around looking at everything, I'm like, this hurricane fucked this place up.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so that's the warrior poet. I don't know what the fuck this is. Oh, this is the alien. This is some sort of very Gucci 2011 Terran Glock. We got a Sand Viper over here. All right, I'm ready to shoot. Ready to shoot those. Oh yeah. German engineering right here.
Trigger won't work if the squeeze cock is not depressed.
Okay. This is a really cool piece of history right here.
Yeah.
Oberndorf, made in Germany.
So now we got to do this build drill.
Okay. With
So
the P7.
So you might have some malfunctions. We'll work through it.
It's training, right? I'm getting that malfunction training in.
The best training is with malfunctions, right? Let's just do 5 rounds, 5 rounds, 5 rounds, as fast as you can on the shot timer.
If I don't do well, it's the gun's fault and not mine.
Always.
It's always the gun's fault.
Shooter ready?
Yep. We going? Oh. Oh, fuck. I fucked it all up. I was supposed to do 2 more there. All right, we're empty.
Well, the good news is, we're going to be able to improve on that last time.
Yeah.
Of 65 seconds.
I had 5 misses. Wait, 6 misses. Dude, I'm not gonna lie, that shit got into my head where I'm like, this fucking thing, like, the reload, like, the whole thing, like.
All right, so this is next.
Hell yeah.
This is the Glock War Poet.
Smooth action. Feels fantastic to me.
Did you carry a pistol on patrol?
In Afghanistan?
Yeah.
No, nope. If they were given to non-NCOs, like if they were given to a private, they'd be given to like a gunner, like a truck gunner or something for escalation of force. But then as soon as a guy who outranked me needed a pistol and he didn't have one, they took it right back.
Nice. 1759 with 4-2 splits at the last one.
Now we just need to make sure that I hit something. I will count.
That's pretty damn close.
It's close.
Yeah, I'll give that 14. Now we're gonna do the Alien. The bore axis is the lowest of any pistol ever made.
All right, let's see how that works out for me. Oh, it's super accurate. I'll tell you what, with this one, it's like the nicer they get, the quicker I'm like, all right, let's get to the bill drills on these things.
$29.28. How many did you get?
I missed 3.
Nice.
All right, so what's this
All right, so
ridiculous thing?
this is the Watchtower Apache. This is a double stack 1911, designed by PewView. So, of course, while we're out there, we're gonna give you a few chances to try and flip a bullet into an open chamber.
I'll tell you right now, that's probably never gonna happen. Does it spin, or does he kind of?
So he does it a number of ways. One, he'll just pick it up, throw it up, and it goes into the barrel. Another is he'll literally rest it here.
Okay.
And then toss it up and catch it into the open chamber, rack it, and shoot.
How quick does he close the slide afterwards?
Pretty quick, but not always as fast as you would think. Sometimes he just looks at it open, sees it's aligned, and then closes it.
All right.
Have you seen him do this guy Nick?
No.
Every time he can do it.
What I'm trying to do right now is use the force and just believe that it will work. Yeah, the force is not strong in me, apparently. Yeah, that guy PewView, he's ridiculous. All right, so now my bill drill situation.
Yep, here we go. Nice, 14.86.
Yeah, I had a lot of misses. Yeah, I think I only got 9 hits. I was favoring really low on this one, and I still got 1 round in the chamber. Yeah, I did better with the Glock. Actually, we're about to find out now.
That's what you got right there.
Because we're moving up to the competition-oriented Glock.
That's the Copperhead, which is basically a Combat Master, made by Terran Tactical.
Jesus Christ. This is such a, wow. All right, this is the pistol I've been most excited about. I've always wanted to see, like, what can Terran do to really make a Glock better? Am I gonna become Keanu Reeves with this thing? Probably not.
How much practice shooting did you get in the military? Especially overseas.
Overseas, almost none. Almost none ever.
Really? No
Yeah.
range time?
Almost, I mean, we probably went to the range twice for over a 14-month period of time.
That seems not good.
Oh my God, dude, I've got horror stories. I mean, so we switched over from the PEC 2 laser over to the PEC 15, like right before we went to Afghanistan. And we just deployed with them. They were like, you turn it on right here, you press the button, it shines the laser.
That was your training?
Yeah, they didn't train us how to use IR or how to use flood, like what the different modes meant. They didn't teach us what the blue lockout, the lockout screws mean for power, for adjusting power. We didn't zero the lasers. My machine gun had an M145 LCAN scope that stayed unzeroed like the entire deployment, and I'd bring it up to people and be like, hey man, like this thing shoots like off the reticle. Like when you look through it at a couple hundred meters, my point of impact is off the reticle down and to the left. So I'm always aiming super high right and just scooping rounds towards bad guys. And they're like, we'll try to get around to it. You know, we'll try to get around to it, but yeah, they never got around to fixing it.
So you're literally learning under fire.
Yeah.
That seems like the worst place.
I mean, that was for like your common army guys, like standard infantrymen. That was a very common practice back in the height of GWOT because I mean, I was at war within eight months of joining the Army. I saw my first friends die within 9 months of getting into the Army because we had guys die immediately. We lost guys on their first missions.
In Kandahar?
Yeah, well, no, so the first guy that 4th Infantry Division lost, it was my squad mate in basic training. His name is Steven Dries. He's from Wisconsin. He got shot in the head by a sniper, but it was in Kunar because they split my unit in half. Half of us went to Kunar and half of us went to Kandahar because they were, you know, so there were huge supply issues, manpower issues, and the Army at the time was just a meat grinder. Like, you get in, you go to basic, you have a short workup in deployment, and you're at war. And then you come back and you either, you know, a lot of people would get out after one deployment if it was a rough deployment, because it was like they're no longer deployable. Like, these guys come back just all fucked up.
After losing a guy like to sniper fire and random shit like that, you find yourself wondering, like, why him?
It's really weird how fate seemed to play out, because a lot of the best guys were the ones that died. And it's like the shitty guys that just, they avoid every detail, they avoid every responsibility, complain all the time, they're fat as hell, they're unfit, they can't pass their PT test, this and that. And it's like those guys go on and they're in the military for 23 years. You know, they get 5 deployments and never get a scratch. And then it was, for us, a lot of the really, and it makes sense because the guys who have more initiative are fucking getting after it. So they're getting killed, you know? And that's also the breakdown in terms of rank too. The people who got killed the most were E4s and E5s because they were
right at the first NCO level.
Yeah, because they were team leaders. So, and the Army has, you know, we're one of the only militaries in the world that has a complete lead from the front mentality. So you're never gonna see, you know, and you know this as well as I do, you're never gonna see somebody in that lower leadership position delegating their guys to run over there and fight. They're gonna say, follow me, and they're gonna go fight.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, what it was super disheartening because Steven Dries died within about 2 weeks of getting there. So
oh man,
it
2
comes,
weeks.
Yeah. So it comes down the line and they're like, oh my God, Steven Dries got shot in the head and he died. And that was my basic training partner. That was one of my good buddies in basic training. Within 30 minutes of our first mission, the truck on my right hits a massive IED, takes out 4 of our guys. Didn't kill them, but it ended all 4 of their military careers. And it was within 30 minutes of our first mission. So all of us privates who have never deployed before, we're like, if this is what the first 30 minutes in Afghanistan looks like, how am I gonna last a whole year here? Like, I'm gonna fucking die. So it was scary, but.
Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Here we go.
See, my thumbs are not touching this thing.
31-9.
I mean, I got almost all hits.
And they're all good hits.
I need a basis for comparison. I gotta run that drill with my Glock. For
I
sure.
think that's a smart idea. Nice reload. 4-7 splits on the last. It's either 16 or 17, depending on whether or not that's 1 or 2.
What was my time?
It's fast. 18:48. It's your
Okay.
best time.
Well, I mean, what it boils down to training and familiarization.
Yeah, I think those
You
Gucci
know?
guns, they just require, you know, your grip not to fuck at all with the slide.
Yeah. God, I hope I don't look like shit through all this. All right.
Just Photoshop.
Yeah, just
Brad
fucking
Pitt's face on you.
make me look skinnier. So yesterday, we go to the Dare Dutchman, my grandma and I, and it's this huge buffet, and it's a good buffet, like, which there's not a lot of good buffets in the world anymore.
No.
And so, you know, they've got, it's all Amish people that work there. And it was nothing but white people, right? And I was like, I wish my wife was here so she could fucking be like, oh, I'm the only brown person here. I'm nervous. And I'm like, what? Is everybody being too quiet and courteous for you? Like, it's fucking scaring you. It's freaking you out. Because in Virginia, where I live in Virginia, it's very diverse. And you can't go to a buffet without it being a fucking mosh pit. You know what I mean? It's loud as shit. It's boisterous. And, like, you know, everybody's sizing you up. Everybody got to size you up. You know what I mean? And I'm like, holy shit, I'm in a buffet right now and I feel fucking comfortable for the first time in my life.
It can't be easy to come back from 20-hour shifts and constant contact to pumpkin chai latte at Starbucks, and people complaining that they don't like working remote, or they don't want to go to the office, or this 40-hour work week is killing me. This shit's got to be tough.
Let me show you a picture of me at 19. This is me at 19. Just fucking, you see how drawn thin I am?
Yeah.
Like,
You look like you've been through Misery War.
yeah, I'll send that to you and you can pop it up on the thing. That was it. So this was after we took a town called Nauruzi, and we lost the guy. Sean Durkin got blown in half, taking that town, and it was a 4-day operation to take over this town. And the town had no tactical significance. We were basically just trying to take land in order to take land. So in Afghanistan directly, I lost 7. 13 is how many we've lost as a cumulative effect of that deployment. So we're talking suicides, and then 2 of them are not even dead. They're still alive, and I count them as battlefield losses because they're both doing life in prison for separate murders that they committed. So, you know, I have felt a lot of shame over the years on the fact that I'm just a short time, like a 1 fucking 4 years and out kind of guy. But if you kind of look at the cumulative effects of how this particular deployment affected my entire unit, it's like, it makes a lot of sense that I came to that decision at 21 where I was like, there's no way I can sustain this. If this is how it's going to look, I can't sustain this, right? So I got out, and I've always regretted it. But the way I justify it is by telling myself those stories and saying, you know what? Like, I don't know how much more of that I could have taken before I became another statistic as well.
All right. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to let you go first because there's no way I'm going to embarrass myself.
Okay, here we go. Oh my God. Overconfident. Go lighter than you think you need to go.
Damn it.
Close. Got to get that 1 rotation in. Nice.
I was almost over-rotated, though.
You've got a stick. You have a stick, though, so.
Who invented this?
Vikings?
Vikings. My ancestors.
Yeah, my Native American ancestors are pissed at me right now.
Hey,
Oh.
still over-rotating.
I mean, that's right there next to the bullseye.
Don't be so nice to your wood.
I've got a lot of practice. Okay, there we go.
There you go.
I have to throw it harder than I thought. I thought you had to throw it softer. Now that I'm giving it a little bit of ass.
Your wife told me that you like Starship Troopers.
Yes. Yep, I mean, that movie changed my life.
I love that movie, and I was expecting Denise Richards in a shower scene. Or,
Fuck, what's her name? The woman
not
who
Denise Richards,
plays
the other girl.
Dizzy.
Yeah,
I don't know why I can't remember her name.
I love her.
Yeah, she's awesome. I mean, she's really it's like, why did he put her off the whole time? Like, she's way better than Carmen. So it's a great exercise in coordination.
So what's next for you?
I'm not worried about popularity. Like, when it comes to some of these long form content videos that I do, and actually just the general idea of my channel, I want popularity to be a symptom, but not the goal, right? Because I want to be informative.
Hey guys, I'm Eric from Fanathem, and thank you for checking out our content. I never know how these videos are gonna go. The intent is for you, if you're a fan of their channel, you already like them for what they do, now you like them for who they are, and I hope to expose that through the videos that we create. If you like what you saw, please like, subscribe, hit that bell icon so you get notifications. See you on the next one.